In this lesson, we will examine the triggers topic in Wise SCADA. We create a new trigger group by clicking on the New button under Triggers in the menu on the left. Let's add a new line. Let's select one of our existing tags as the trigger. Let's configure the Set section to trigger when the value of this tag is true. In the Function section, we set what should happen when this trigger operates. For example, let's make a configuration where tag 4 value equals tag 5 value. It does not have to be a single line, more lines can be added. At the same time, let the value of tag 6 be equalized to tag 5. The trigger is now ready. We can test it in Runtime. We are giving a value to tag 5. Tag 1, which we selected as the trigger, is available above. When we check this, it is seen that the value of tag 5 is transferred to tag 4 and tag 6. When we remove the trigger, the value is not transferred, because we defined it to trigger only when it is true. If we want it to trigger when it is false as well, we can add a second line and ensure it works when it is false this time. Now the trigger will work when it is both true and false. We showed that it works when true. Now it is seen that it works when false as well. The trigger does not always have to work with the change of a tag. It can also work on a time base. Now let's define a time for the first one in this section. Let's delete the second line and remove the configuration related to the tag. In time-based operation, when day, month, year, hour, and minute are all X, it means the system will run every second. When we make the last part of the second 0, it means it will run every 10 seconds, such as when the second is 0, when it is 10, when it is 20. Let's try this immediately in Runtime. We give a value to the tag and we need to wait 10 seconds. As seen, the new value has been transferred. Let's give a second value. We are waiting for the 10 seconds to expire. When it was 10 seconds, this value was transferred as well. We can proceed to the next stage here now. In functions working on time base or with tag triggering, we can also define enable. We had created the enable bit before. Now, when the value of the tag named enable1 is true, it means permission is granted to this line. Permissions can be on a line basis or on a group basis. We had a second enable bit. We are defining this for the group. Currently, there must be group permission, line permission, and then the time must also expire. Meaning, all three conditions must be valid for the trigger to work. Let's grant permission to both and give a value to tag 5 and wait for 10 seconds. Let's give a new value to tag 5. When we remove any of the permissions, this new value will not be transferred to other labels anymore, because there is no permission. When we grant permission again, this operation will be performed when the 10-second period expires. Yes, it was seen that the operation was done and we are ready to proceed to the next stage. Where can the trigger be used? For example, all jobs you want to be done at the end of every shift, every Monday, or on certain days of the week. Or periodic jobs such as time-based every second, every 10 seconds. Every minute can be done within the trigger. In the function section, besides just transferring tag values to each other, there are many functions such as opening a page, running a script, creating a report, sending an email, and running a printer. Let's do a more meaningful example here now. The place where the trigger is used most is generating automatic reports at certain times. Let's select a report to. Let's remove these enables now. We remove the enables from both sides. There is a report I defined earlier in this section. The report will be generated. It will be saved to disk as PDF. We configured this in the trigger as time-based to perform every 10 seconds. The folder where reports will be saved is seen on the screen right now. This place is currently empty. Let's run runtime. We expect to see a record opened here after 10 seconds. "10 seconds have passed. One report was created. Another report will be created after 10 seconds. Reports were created, however, our main purpose was to create reports in certain periods. As you see in this report, there are two parameters as start time and end time. Therefore, we needed to set start time and end time before creating the report, and create the report afterwards. Let's configure that now. First, let's select the tag section. And let's transfer the current time, that is the now value, to end time. Let's create the report. Let's add the current time this time to start time, which we need for the operation in the next period. How will this work? At the end of the day, at 00 hours at night, the end time of that day, that is the current time, will be set to end time. The report will be created and the last moment of today will be saved to start time again. This operation will ensure we receive a full 24-hour report when creating the report at 00 hours on the next day night. Let's try this in runtime. We have two records here. We are not looking at the values of these two records for now. One record will be created after 10 seconds. Yes, we will not examine this record either. The next record is the important one for us. Let's look at the next record. Here, we obtained a report of the time frame between the 24th minute, 10th second, and the 19th second. When the next report is generated, this continues from where the same report left off. We had finished the report at the 19th second last. Here it starts at the 20th second, finishes at 29. Another report came while I was explaining this. This starts at 30 and finishes at 39. Of course, consider these reports are daily, not 10 seconds like this. We have written a code that ensures you receive an automatic report every night at 00 hours. Thank you for watching our trigger lesson.